Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today we are making a summery treat with only 2 ingredients. Now, sometimes these recipes that claim to be very few ingredients in the end end up being a lot more ingredients, but today it looks truly to be just 2 ingredients. We're going to be making a 2 ingredient ice cream using watermelon and heavy cream, which has me thinking ice cream, maybe more of a sherbet. Do you say sherbet or sherbet? My spouse and his family say sherbet, even though there's only one R. I think it's a regional thing. I say sherbet, but the definition of a sherbet, from my understanding, is often a fruit frozen kind of ice cream like thing with milk rather than cream. But the idea is that it's a lighter, kind of icier version than ice cream. Gelato is similar to ice cream. It's usually served at a lower temperature. It has a very smooth mouthfeel. And ice cream is made from heavy cream and sometimes contains eggs if you're doing a custard base, or sometimes contains milk, but also frozen and churned into my favorite summery confection. I think it's my favorite dessert is ice cream. Ice cream, I think, would be my last meal. Ice cream, just a bowl of mint chip, done. Today we're going to be combining fruit with heavy cream. I think the appeal of this recipe is how the ice cream is made rather than the taste, although all the videos I've seen of people making it say it tastes amazing. Now, granted, I am not a huge watermelon fan, but I'm going to do my best to remain objective. We're going to be making watermelon ice cream or sherbet or frozen confection, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to also try a cantaloupe as well, a melon, another brightly colored melon that, in my opinion, tends to be sweeter than watermelon, and I think will taste a little bit more like an ice cream. At any rate, I am dying to try to see if this ice cream actually comes to the consistency as shown. What we're going to be doing is using our watermelon as a frozen vessel to create the dessert inside the watermelon. It'll all be clear once I demonstrate. But with that, let's just go ahead and get started. So there is a little bit of prep involved to make this recipe, a little bit of thinking ahead. So get yourself a nice watermelon. You're gonna wash the outside of it, clean the outside, and then cut it in half so we have 2 hemispheres. Give one to your children to eat and take the other one and take a large spoon and hollow out a little well in the middle. Then you can take some plastic wrap, cover it, and place it in your freezer. That's another thing. You have to have the real estate in your freezer for this recipe as well. It's gonna take up a lot of room. Luckily, I have a chest freezer in my garage, so that's where I placed it. And I also placed a half of a cantaloupe as well. Place your melons into the freezer. Let them sit in there for at least 12 hours. Longer would be better because you want them really icy cold so that our ice cream sets up. So here is my watermelon, half rock hard, and let's peel it back. Boom, boom, boom. So it looks a lot like it did before it went into the freezer, although this part, the rind, does not look as opaque. Definitely looks icy and frozen, but this is nice and icy. Okay, now we're going to add the cream. Okay, and we begin stirring it and scraping, and we're supposed to get ice cream. I think what we're doing here is scraping the frozen melon here and combining it with cream, but it looks like an ice cream consistency in the end. Now, it is a very pleasant pink color, I have to say. And is it freezing the cream? Not really. This is not looking like ice cream, lovelies. Oh my gosh, am I gonna have to revisit this? Look, this is not ice cream. Not ice cream. All right, so this did not work and it's not going to work. So I'm going to place this back in the freezer. I'm gonna take the guts out because that is not ice cream. All right, give this a rinse. My guess is that it's not frozen all the way through. All right, this is gonna go back into the freezer. I'm gonna let it freeze for another 24 hours. Turn down my freezer. I guess it's pretty large, so I'll be back with the cantaloupe and hopefully that'll work better. Oh, so disappointing. That was disappointing. I have a beautifully pink tinged color soup here. It does not look very appetizing and it does not look anything at all like ice cream or sherbet or sorbet or anything. But let's give it a taste so we can kind of anticipate what this perhaps will taste like. Itadakimasu. Ooh, it's actually very refreshing. It's a good watermelon. I like this more than I thought. Now I really want the watermelon ice cream to work, so I'm going to freeze that for an additional 24 hours before we try this again. But in the meanwhile, let us try cantaloupe. Okay, we are back with a cantaloupe. This one looks nice and icy, right? And we're gonna do the same thing. Introduce some cream. Boop. A little less this time. And scrape. Yes, this one feels more frozen. So as I'm scraping, I'm actually getting little ribbons of frozen melon. This is what we want. It should be icy. And my watermelon was not icy. And the cream is kind of solidifying a bit against the frozen melon. Okay, so it does work. You just gotta make sure your melon is rock hard. So maybe 48 hours is what I'm hoping. Yes, okay, it's working. Thank goodness, okay. Can't wait to try it with the frozen watermelon because that was good. Now I have to say, this is a lot of work. It's like scraping a coconut. Have you ever scraped a real coconut? Like get fresh coconut meat? And it's a lot of work, but it's working. I'm getting something kind of thickened and creamy. Okay, so as you scrape more of the melon, you can combine that with the cream, which is also kind of freezing, solidifying. And this action is kind of whipping things together. I have to say we're not getting a lot of ice cream at this point. I think that's another trick. Resist the urge to put too much cream in because that is introducing some warmth to this situation and it'll take longer for the cream to solidify if you put too much, is my theory. Oh, look at this, it's working. One thing I do like about this is that your vessel is frozen so that your ice cream stays nice and cool too, which is great for people that are creating content in the summertime. It's so hot. Wow, look at that. That texture is pretty impressive. I mean, it's not entirely consistent, a little bit lumpy, but it is definitely scoopable. Now I'm gonna scrape everything down and then I'll see if I can get a couple scoops. And yes, it is very scoopable. The way I've seen it displayed is right in the melon, which I think is smart because it reminds you what you're eating. Okay, lovelies, here is the cantaloupe ice cream. And I have to say, that actually turned out great, despite all my skepticism. I mean, we get to serve it right in the frozen bowl. It has a soft orange color, very reminiscent of orange sherbet. On camera, it's a little light in color, but in real life, it looks more like the melon. Alrighty, let's give it a taste. My first bite of 2-ingredient cantaloupe ice cream. Itadakimasu. That's surprising. It has a great consistency. I was thinking it would have chunks of cantaloupe in it, but it doesn't. It's almost whipped. And not even icy. A little bit. Got some ice crystals, but it has a great consistency. The cream is rich. I feel like I taste the cream almost more than the melon. The melon is somewhat subtle, lightly sweetened, very refreshing. Lovelies. It works. It's definitely not as sweet as ice cream. How could it be? There's no sugar in here. This is just fruit and cream together. But this melon is nice and sweet, so there's plenty of sweetness in here. Wow, I'm impressed. There is a fibrous quality at the very end of the bite once the ice cream or the dessert has melted. It's the bits of cantaloupe in there, but it's not bad. I've already ate an entire ball. Delicious. I think what I like about this process is that the freezing has muted the cantaloupe flavor, so it is sweet, but it's not overpowering. I think that's what I don't like about cantaloupe. It's just a little bit too strong in terms of a melony flavor, but as a frozen confection, it's great. The cantaloupe is great. When I tasted the melty watermelon version, I like the flavor of that one even more. So I look forward to tomorrow when my watermelon hopefully is completely frozen solid, where we'll try this experiment again and see if we can get watermelon ice cream tomorrow and conclude that this is worth doing. So I will see you tomorrow, to be continued. Didn't you remember watching sitcoms and they would do that maybe once a season or maybe every few seasons there'd be some crazy episode and then you'd have to wait an entire week to see what would happen and just say to be continued ... You remember those days? I remember those days. Such drama. All right, see you in a little bit. Alrighty, lovelies, I am back. It has been a full 48 hours since I replaced my watermelon back into the freezer so that we can make the viral 2-ingredient watermelon ice cream. I am confident it is frozen. So this should work because it worked with the cantaloupe, right? So here we go. Yes, fully frozen, nice and icy. Let's do this. Cream into our awaiting vessel. Not too much. And we begin to scrape. Definitely better than last time. It is actually scraping and it's icy in consistency rather than being kind of pulpy. And we're getting little bits of watermelon. So scraping the frozen watermelon and combining it into the cream to form ice cream. Look. So essentially we're just getting frozen fruit puree scraped into this, but that's okay. Call it what you want. It's a bit grainy. I should also mention I have a bowl underneath here so that the watermelon doesn't wibble and wobble around. So this time around, it's really working. And if you decide to make this, you should hear an icy scraping sound. Like this. It shouldn't be pulpy. And if it's watery, that means your watermelon isn't ready yet. So place it back in the freezer, in the deep freeze. Put it at the bottom and give it some more time. And my watermelon is so cold that the cream is freezing while it's sitting against it, which is a good sign. Okay, so at this point I have ice cream. Look at this. Pink fluffiness. Okay, this is good. I'm gonna keep going. Now that my first batch of cream is incorporated, add a little bit more. Again, I don't want to add too much because I want to keep this frozen. All right, I'm gonna keep going and I will be back once I have some balls of ice cream. Alrighty, lovelies, here it is, the finished 2-ingredient watermelon ice cream. It looks great. And once you get your watermelon up to the right temperature or down to the right temperature, it works famously. Now let's finally give our pink watermelon ice cream a taste. Look at that. Super cute. Cotton candy, Pepto-Bismol pink. Itadakimasu. Pretty stinking delicious. Creamy, rich, with a subtle watermelon flavor. You can scrape some of the watermelon bowl with each bite and it gives it a more watermelon-y intenseness, or you could just scrape more watermelon into your ice cream. That works too. It's simultaneously refreshing and indulgent and rich. It does have a little bit of an iciness, and the heavy whipping cream does create kind of little pockets of cream, fat, or butter. So it's not entirely smooth like churned ice cream would be, but for 2 ingredients, for very little effort, it's great. And I love because our watermelon is frozen solid, our made ice cream stays nice and cold. You can make this out on the porch, you can make this outside, and your ice cream would still stay cold. I think this would be a fun one to make with the kids. It does require a little bit of effort and some patience, but what a great way to make a treat. All right, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye. Watermelon time. I wonder what the kids think. They did not love the cantaloupe one. I mean, I'm thinking the watermelon, because they like watermelon more, will be a little bit more popular. Let us see. They didn't like the cantaloupe. I'm not surprised though, because they don't love cantaloupe. But I liked it, and I don't love cantaloupe. I don't know.